I used to think the scariest thing about living alone in the middle of nowhere was the silence. You grow up in the city, surrounded by constant noise, people talking, traffic honking, the buzz of life in every corner, and eventually you start to crave peace. That's exactly what I was looking for when I bought the old farmhouse on the outskirts of Durnhill. There were no neighbors for miles, just endless fields that stretched out into the horizon, and one long, cracked road that led back to the nearest town. It seemed like the perfect place to escape. The silence was comforting at first, but as the days went on, that silence became more oppressive. It was as if the house itself had secrets, things that had settled deep into its foundation over the years, waiting to be disturbed. This wasn't just any farmhouse. It was old, creaky, and had the unmistakable smell of wood rot. The kind of place that had character, or at least that's what I told myself. It was 2 stories high, its faded white paint peeling in places, and there was a rusted weather vane that spun on the roof every time the wind picked up, giving the house a sort of eerie, unfinished look. People often passed by and commented, "That'd be beautiful if it were fixed up." And that's what I was doing, fixing it up, slowly but surely. By the end of October, I'd been in the house for 2 months, working alone to fix the roof, plumbing, and walls. Most nights, I ate in silence, the only sounds being the creaks of the beams and the wind. It was exhausting, but I was settling in. Then, one night, as I sat down to dinner, the air felt heavier, like something was watching. The peace I'd craved suddenly felt distant, and I wondered if the silence was hiding something darker. The first thing that told me something was off was the deer. One morning, I found one lying in the tall grass near the back of the house. Its body was torn open, ribs splayed like broken fingers, organs missing. It didn't look like an animal attack. I've seen coyotes and even bears tear into carcasses, but this, it was too precise, like something had removed specific pieces, like a butcher. I found a second deer 2 days later, then a third. Always in a different place, always the same style of mutilation, no blood trail, just their bodies dumped, emptied, and left to rot. I started carrying a hunting knife around with me. Then came the sounds. Living in the countryside, you learn to recognize normal noises. Crickets, wind rustling the grass, the occasional distant bark. This was different. Around 2 a.m., I heard whispering. Not talking, whispering, soft, fast, raspy, like wind speaking. I sat up in bed, adrenaline flooding me, listening. The whispering was coming from outside my bedroom window. My window was cracked open for fresh air. I didn't move, just slowly leaned over and peeked through the blinds. The moon lit up the field like silver fire, and at first, I saw nothing. Then something moved, a tall shape, half hidden in the grass. It didn't walk, it glided, limbs long and bent wrong. Its skin hung off its frame like wet cloth. I blinked, and it was gone. The next morning, I told myself it was exhaustion, shadows playing tricks. I wanted to believe that. But the weirdness kept piling up. Footsteps upstairs when I was downstairs. My tools rearranged in the shed. My back door found wide open despite always locking it. One time I came home from a trip to town, and every cabinet in the kitchen was open. Every drawer pulled out. No sign of forced entry. Nothing taken, just opened. Then I saw it again. It was dusk, and I was chopping wood out back. The air was thick with the scent of burning leaves. Something caught my eye near the tree line at the far end of the field. A figure. 7, maybe 8 feet tall. Greyish skin stretched over a skeletal body. Its arms hung past its knees, fingers tapering into claws. Its head was skull-like, elongated, with antlers jutting out in asymmetrical directions, like branches rotting on a dead tree. It just stood there, watching. I froze, axe in hand, unable to breathe. It tilted its head, slowly, like a dog studying something. Then it moved, darting back into the grass in the blink of an eye. That night, I boarded up the windows, sat with my shotgun in the living room. Every creak made me jump. I didn't sleep. And just before sunrise, I heard it again, my own voice whispering from the back door. "Let me in," it said softly, exactly like me. "I'm cold, please." My stomach turned to ice. Then it laughed, a horrible, broken imitation of laughter, like it had watched a human do it once and tried to copy it. I called the sheriff's office the next morning, told them someone was trying to mess with me. They sent a deputy who checked around but found nothing. He looked skeptical when I told him about the voice, said maybe I needed to take a break from the woods. I didn't push it. What would I say? Hey, I think a creature from Native American folklore is stalking me in the cornfields? A few days later, something worse happened. I woke up in the middle of the night to find my front door wide open. The cold air poured in, and the wind carried the smell of rot. I grabbed my shotgun and flashlight and cautiously stepped outside. I swept the beam across the field. That's when I saw them. Dozens of deer, all standing still, all facing my house. Not eating, not moving, just watching. Some of them were missing patches of fur. Others had eyes clouded over with white film. One near the front had its neck twisted almost completely around, like it had been snapped and spun. I stepped back inside and slammed the door shut, bolting it. I didn't sleep that night either. The next day, there were no tracks in the dirt outside, not a single hoof print. The woods and the fields around my house felt different after that. Not just eerie, wrong. The wind didn't blow the way it used to. The birds had stopped singing. Even the insects seemed to disappear. There was a silence that wasn't peaceful anymore. It was heavy, like the world was holding its breath. I tried to do research. I found a few old local legends online, stuff about a spirit in the woods, something ancient and hungry, born from greed and cannibalism. The name Wendigo came up again and again. I read accounts, most dismissed as folktales, about gaunt creatures with glowing eyes and antlers, luring people out with voices they trusted. But I wasn't in the woods. I was in open fields. That's what didn't make sense. They say the Wendigo lives in the forests, but whatever this was, it was here, and it knew me now. I decided I had to leave. I packed a single bag, grabbed my keys and made for the door, and then the power went out. All at once, every light in the house died. My phone wouldn't turn on, my car wouldn't start. It was as if the world itself decided I wasn't leaving. I locked myself in the upstairs bedroom and waited for morning. Around 2:17 a.m., I heard footsteps on the roof. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They crossed above me, then stopped. Something began scratching at the window. I turned slowly and shined my flashlight toward it. It was there, inches from me. On the other side of the glass. Its face was stretched and wrong, sunken eyes glowing faintly orange. Lips split wide in a smile full of jagged brown teeth. Blood crusted around its chin, and pieces of something hung from its antlers. Its hand, long, bony and clawed, pressed against the window pane. Then, with one sickening screech, it dragged its nails down the glass. I backed away until I hit the opposite wall. My legs wouldn't move. I could barely breathe. Then it spoke, not in its own voice, in my mother's voice. "Open the window, sweetheart," it said, sweet and kind. "Let Mama in." I screamed. I don't even remember doing it. Just a sound that tore out of my throat like it didn't belong to me. The thing smiled wider, like it enjoyed that. Then it vanished. I must have passed out. When I woke up, it was morning. The window was intact, though the frost on the glass bore long drag marks, like something sharp had melted its way across. I left that morning with nothing but the clothes on my back. Walked for 3 hours until I found a truck driver willing to give me a ride into town. I haven't been back since. People sometimes ask me why I left such a beautiful place. I just smile and say the peace and quiet wasn't for me. At night, when everything goes still, I swear I can hear it whispering. Not words, not anymore, just my name, over and over again, soft and broken, like it's still searching for me. A few weeks ago, a young couple moved into that house. They were excited, eager to get away from the chaos of the city. Fresh start, they said, but after just 2 days, they vanished. No moving truck, no goodbyes. Their car stayed in the driveway, lights left on, doors unlocked, everything untouched, like they just stopped existing. When the real estate agent went to check on the property, she found the back door hanging open. In the wide field behind the house, dozens of deer stood perfectly still. They weren't eating or moving, just staring at the house, silent, unblinking, watching. No one had an explanation. Some whispered old stories, Wendigos, skinwalkers, spirits from another time. But whatever this thing is, it's not bound by those names anymore. It doesn't need dark forests or ancient hunting grounds. It waits wherever people forget to look, adapts to new places, small towns, empty fields. All it needs is silence, a little distance from the noise, and someone alone, someone who might listen,